Namaste and welcome, Goddess. Today I am going to speak on a very serious subject that is completely pushed aside, dismissed so very much by so many twin flame union coaches who are promoting attachment. Welcome, my name is Rochelle Richard, and I am here to flip things upside down and really be focusing for all of us on where our power is, which means to discover where it's not. And one of those big places of where it's not is in clinging to that counterpart. And this has been so big in my messaging lately because this is very much what I'm about, because I was that person. I was that same feminine that was clinging to her counterpart, clinging to that vision, clinging to the hope that maybe, just maybe, he'll choose me instead of that, whatever that was or is. Another woman, what does mommy and daddy want him to do, all these other things. But instead, he did choose that. But I had to see it was because I was not choosing me. I was choosing him, not me. And this is what is perpetuated. This ego attachment, this clinging to our counterpart that in turn keeps us stuck in this painful space, perpetuating our own suffering. Because we're not letting go of what is outside of us so we can focus on what's inside. I did that. I did that for a while. I even sat here saying the same thing. Why? Because it's what's in the twin flame community. It's what people want to hear. It's what I wanted to hear. I wanted to hear that, oh, he loves you. He's just making other choices, but it's not, but you're really what he wants. As a survivor of things I am not allowed to say out loud anymore, thanks YouTube and Instagram for your censorship guidelines, letting us know that that's how we roll now. I didn't want to hear. I didn't want to hear that I was just clinging on to this toxic space, that I was just clinging to my own trauma, to my own wounds, by clinging to my counterpart. Now, I'm going to say that no one can tell me different that my twin flame isn't my twin flame. I still have my twin flame confirmation checklist. I still very much am in that space of I lived that. I have lived all the things that I share with you. I don't just take something here and I've noticed that's the trend. People are not actually asking questions, but that's the mainstream trend. The critical thinking is so lacking. But the only way that we actually transcend, we transmute, we transcend, we learn, heal, grow, and expand is by asking questions, especially about ourselves. And a lot of the biggest questions that we don't ask that lead us into these spaces of ego attachment and our perpetuation of our own trauma bonds and wounds and suffering. That big question is this serving me positively? Because it could be serving you negatively if you actually think it's good that you're suffering, that you think that by clinging and doing the same thing that you're going to get a different result and stop the suffering by holding on to your counterpart? Here to tell you, sister, it's not how that works. You're going to get the same results if you keep doing the same thing. It's that simple. If you only listen to the things you want to hear to feed your attachment, then that's all you're going to take in, and you're going to continue to get those same results. I was that person, goddess, that in the beginning of and I say in the beginning of my twin flame journey, technically it would be 9 months into it, because I didn't believe in twin flames when I met mine. I believed it was just about self-love. I had seen one little thing, the very first introduction to it, really. And I was like, oh, okay. But then I met mine, and then I got to experience all these signs and synchronicities and the telepathy and the connection and the energy and the connection. It's intense. It's incredible. But 9 months in, that's when I understood what was going on with this guy that I'd met. And I dove in. I did all this research learning about him. And I found those who, yeah, they say, oh, we're twin flames, but we've chosen to not be together. And we're very happy in that. We feel very fulfilled. We're great. We have soulmates and we love this. And we're out here speaking on this because of this attachment thing. Well, la 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 la, right? We don't want to hear what we don't want to hear. We're closed off. And finally, when we let ourselves hear all of it, and we take that step back and we detach, then you can see. You can see the trauma. You can see the attachment that you are continuing for yourself. You can see the resentment that they're not choosing you. You can feel that lack within yourself that you have been perpetuating by clinging to this thing that's outside of you that you do not have, and you do not have, and you do not have, and you do not. Why don't I have this? Because you're focusing outside of you. Whatever this is missing, that you think is missing outside of you, it's because something is missing inside of you. And your twin flame will never be able to fill that hole, because that hole is in you. There's nothing they can do. And when we are trauma survivors and we have that bond because of that trauma, it really, really amplifies that attachment to your counterpart. Because especially with this whole empaths and energy vampires dynamic within the twin flame connection, because we're all empaths, so therefore we all can be energy vampires. Because you're either an inherent energy vampire or a transient energy vampire. And an inherent means that you're just one to the core. That's just who you are, period. There's no changing you. But a transient energy vampire is someone who most often is such because of a result of a toxic environment, toxic relationships. I've been a very toxic energy vampire in my life. Very much. Because, again, I hesitate to speak on my story anymore because we're being silenced so drastically now. This has been a doozy. This is something I'm working through, and why I haven't really been putting out videos, because this persecution wound is so gaping, and it just keeps being picked at by the elite. through our social media and stuff. And so it can be very challenging. So you're seeing me in this moment going through this little real raw a feeling traumatized all over again. Because we're not supposed to be saying anything to offend anybody, because that's the world we live in, where it's not about you being empowered, it's about you giving your power away. That's what such things as political correctness and community guidelines, that's what they are. They're just disguised censorship. That's all it is. That's all it is. To trample freedom of speech. So for those of us who have had intensely traumatic pasts, we're being re-traumatized. Because when you are not allowed to speak out and speak your story and get it out of your mouth and tell that story, then it stays suppressed. And when all of this toxicity stays in us, it feeds the darker agenda here. It feeds those lower vibrations. And it keeps your vibration low. And this is where I feel very strongly about this whole twin flame community and the perpetuation of this lower vibrational state of saying, don't ever give up. I'll never let go, Jack. I'll never let go. You have to let go. Because what you're clinging to is in essence dead weight. If someone doesn't want to rise to the occasion with you, and you have to let them go. It doesn't matter who they are, especially if they bear the label of twin flame. Because you see, Goddess, and it took me having to go through this myself to get to this place, to be able to say, wow, oh, I see how I allowed and I kept putting myself back in this position with my twin flame to further perpetuate the same cycle of toxic bonding, of toxic attachment. Instead of recognizing that, oh my goodness, perhaps the key to getting the different result is to be done. Be done playing the game and realize that, wait a minute, if we're going to continue to be in this cycle every time my counterpart comes back, then the cycle must be broken by saying you don't get to come back. Nah. Because you know what? I love me more now. And I realize that what I'm doing is I am allowing you to disrespect me, because why? I am disrespecting me. I am allowing for toxic behaviors and traits to come into my realm of experience. Why? Because of the attachment. It's my twin flame. And this whole myth that twin flames will never hurt you, that's exactly what it is. We're human. We're human here. Excuse me. We're human here. And especially, again, to mention the empaths and energy vampires dynamic, in order to heal that, just like this trauma bonding, in order to heal this attachment, in order to heal these cycles and patterns of self-abuse, because it's still self-abuse when you are allowing for others to treat you like shit, especially your twin flame. What greater challenge in one sense than to have to say, I won't allow this anymore, and I really am done. And to really mean it from the perspective that, okay, I'm doing this for me, not because I know that by detaching, I'm doing the right thing that's going to help me be with that person. Those are all the wrong reasons. That is the biggest wrong reason, because you're not doing it then for you. You're doing it for them. And it's not going to produce the result that you want, because the only way you could align that union, for those of us on this twin flame journey, the only way to align for union with your counterpart is through coming home to union within. It's the only path. Because if your counterpart is you, then they're not the answer. The answer's in you. And that means that if you need to completely cut your twin flame off from access to you in this physical world, because their ego is doing nothing but triggering your ego, your wounds, your attachments, then you have to. You have to realize that all of these self-proclaimed experts might just be telling you what you want to hear because it pays their bills. Because it pays their bills. And I, again, remember being that person that just wanted to hear what I wanted to hear. And what did that do for me? It showed me that I was keeping my own self stuck in my own self-sabotage, my own ego attachment, and my own unworthiness by clinging to this one person simply because of the label they bore. No different than any member of your family or anybody in your life. It does not matter who they are. What matters is how they are when they are with you. How do they treat you? Because they're going to show you how you're treating yourself. And when you shift into treating yourself better, those who aren't ready for that, they'll have to fall away. And this is what I watched has happened in so many of the divine feminines that I've come to know through the years, is they make these shifts. Myself, I've done this. Make these shifts. We get into our power. Everything's great. We're in that alignment. And then our counterpart comes back. But, big but. Normally I'm like not a big fan of the but. But, because it negates everything that comes before it. Because, and in this case it does. Because what purpose does it serve for him to come back into your life when you're doing great? Life, you got life on track, feeling good. And then boom, he comes back and bringing the exact same cycle of bullshit. What are you going to do different? Or are you going to fall right back into it? Myself and so many other goddesses would fall right back into that shit. Because why? Oh, but he is my twin flame and no. Instead of saying, ooh, you're clearly coming at me wrong. No. Bye-bye. You have to be willing to not ever see your twin flame again. That's what detachment really is accepting any outcome, accepting that it already is the right outcome. Again, I will say, because I've met plenty to know this, not all twin flames have chosen to have physical union here. And where I am on this, I very much see now with that space of that was hitting me, started more than a year ago, of what does happen if your twin flame passes on from this life. What happens if your twin flame never comes back? What do you do then? What about all these gurus that tell you that if you've met your twin, you're guaranteed union in this life? No. You're not guaranteed shit. Except that you're going to one day pass out of this world too. So, what do? It's because you finally come to realize that these experts that are pushing this agenda is simply to keep you in that pain and suffering space. Because I'll tell you, it will alleviate for a minute, but then you're right back in it when they come back and they trigger you again, and you're right back in it, and then you really do want to be with them, and you go right back in that same cycle. But when you finally accept that your life is your life independent from your counterpart, and that whatever your soul purpose, your twin flame mission is, that it's yours. It's your soul. Just because twin flames are known to have copycat souls, so to speak, blueprints, same, does not mean that we are the exact same at all. We are living very different lives. I know I am. Mine's on the other side of the world. We've grown up very, very, very different. And I know so many counterparts the same. Very different lives. We have done this on purpose because we're not here to experience all the same stuff. We're here to have the same lessons, but from different perspectives, in different contexts. Because that's our soul's journey, our soul's learning. It's your soul's learning journey, goddess, not your counterpart's. He's got his. What is yours outside of that? What is this light in you here to shine through and into this world and illuminate in it? What are you here to illuminate for the world, goddess? That's it. And it sure shit is not in clinging to someone just because they bear a certain label, or because, yes, you love them so much that you would give anything. And I'll end with this. You love them so much that you would give anything. Ponder this question, goddess. Do you love yourself to the same capacity? Do you love yourself so much that you would give and do whatever it took to ensure your happiness, your joy? You deserve all the amazing that this world has to offer, goddess. And this video is simply to shed some light on where your power is not, and it is not in clinging to your counterpart. And to show you where it is. It is in letting go and going within and discovering for yourself what makes you happy. That's even the very first card for Twin Flame Tuesday this week for the Divine Masculine energies is happiness. What is happiness for you, goddess? And start working on that. Focus on you. Because that's where it begins and ends. Is within. If this video resonated with you, please like and subscribe. I would love to hear anything in here. You agree, disagree, questions? How do you feel? Because I know for sure I am not the only one in the community now that's starting to speak out on this, that feels this way. Because, again, this has to stop. The perpetuation of trauma and trauma bonding and attachment has to stop. It's time to break free so you can rise and thrive on your twin flame self-love empowerment journey. I will see you next time, Goddess. I appreciate you. And with that, again, like, subscribe, comment, and I'll see you in the next video. With that, I remind you that the power, it is in your hands. The power to detach, the power to heal, the power to rise and thrive on this journey is in your hands. Because it has always been inside you. Namaste.